Hey everybody! So guys, I was waiting to see all you guys' feedback on should I upload Pokemon content on this channel. And a lot of you guys said it's fine, I wouldn't mind if you uploaded some Pokemon stuff, it'd be kind of interesting, it'd be cool. And some of you guys were like, yes, please do it, it'd be really awesome, I would love to hear what your stories are about Pokemon. So guys, I decided to upload for my first official Pokemon video, my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. And pretty much I'm going to be talking about my stories, reminiscing about the Pokemon, talking about the Pokemon, stuff of this nature. And I decided to make this video a two-part. For the main reason why is after I made the video, I went back and I looked at the timestamp and it's over 25 minutes. And I was like, I don't think anybody, even myself included, wants to hear me talk for over 25 minutes. So let's break it up into two parts, guys. So, for this reason, I will upload one video today on my first part of my top 5 Pokemon. And tomorrow I will upload another part of my other top 5 Pokemon, including my number 1. That'll be part 2, which I'll upload tomorrow, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy while we go through my Pokedex to see what some of my favorite Pokemon are of all time. So guys, let's go through my Pokedex and let's see. So guys, if you guys are wondering what my number 10 favorite Pokemon, my number 10 on my top 10 favorite Pokemon list is, it's actually a tie. I had to put both of these Pokemon in there for different reasons. Haxorus it's a tie literally between number 10 because Haxorus was one of my favorite Pokemon to use when we were playing in Unova. And it is actually one of my favorite Pokemon that I'm currently raising and playing with in Pokemon X and Y. I've always liked the fact he just looks cool to me. You know, the ability, the fact that he has like those two, I don't know what exactly you would call them, but two kind of like axes on his face, and he just looks awesome. And I've always loved his moveset pool. Dragon Claw, I can teach him. Dragon Pulse, Dragon Tail. I can teach him a whole bunch of different other cool moves that I like using. But he's always been a good Pokemon that I like using in link battles and just playing with, overall. And if you guys don't know, and I'm just going to say it right now, even though you guys may want to take a wild guess, my favorite type of Pokemon is Dragon-type Pokemon. Go figure. I love Blue Eyes White Dragon. I love Dragon Pokemon. Go figure. Now, Blaziken is on my number 10 because Blaziken, as of right now, is steadily going back up the ladder as one of my favorite Pokemon. Originally, when Sapphire and Ruby were out, Blaziken was one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. But it fell off because I really didn't use it after Pokemon Emerald and going into Diamond and Pearl and stuff. I didn't really use Blaziken that much. But ever since that it came out as an event Pokemon for X and Y as the event with the Torchic, the no speed boost, he's steadily going back up the ladder. He was my starter back in Sapphire and Ruby, and he has a distinction that no other Pokemon that I've ever played with has. And that is my original Blaziken, who I called Blaze, back in in Ruby, actually won every single badge or every single ribbon that you could win in that game. Some of your old school Pokemon players may remember that back in Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, as well as in Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, you could go to contests and win contests, and your Pokemon could win ribbons for being beautiful, for being smart, for being cool, for being tough, things of that nature, etc. Blaziken won every single ribbon that was possible to win in Ruby and Sapphire when I was playing those games way back in the day. But he has that distinction of being the only Pokemon that has ever won every single ribbon. I always wanted to win those contests, and Blaziken was my ribbon champion. And it was my darling boy. It was actually a girl, but my Blaziken was a girl. Blaze was a girl, but still, she won every single ribbon for me, and she was amazing. But yep, and it's steadily winning my heart back again, playing with Blaziken in X and Y. Next up, guys, is probably one if you're an old school fan of Pokemon like I am, this has to be on your list, or at the least, you think of this Pokemon when you think of Pokemon? When you think of Pokemon, what's the first Pokemon that comes to mind? It's either, for me, it's Mewtwo, Charmander, and Charizard, or it's Pikachu. But Pikachu being the star of the Pokemon franchise for over a decade now, and I grew up watching Pikachu. I watch Pikachu now with my niece. There's a connection there that I used to love Pikachu and she loves Pikachu. It brings back a lot of good memories for me. I mean, heck, Pikachu has always been one of my top 10 favorite Pokemon of all time. I even have a huge stuffed Pikachu next to me right now. If you guys saw in the beginning of the video, I love Pikachu. He's one of my favorites. I specifically love the Pikachu from the anime series. Especially if you guys remember, I don't know if you guys remember, one of Ash's rivals had a Pikachu named Sparky. I always thought that Pikachu was awesome because it had that little tuft of hair. But Ash's Pikachu has always won a special place in my heart, even though sometimes it seems like it loses for no reason, even though it should be level 100, the Pikachu should be. But I've always loved it, and even so much that ever since Ruby and Sapphire, I have had one Pacific Pikachu that I transfer from game to game to game. And that Pikachu knows the same exact move pool as the Pikachu on the show at that time. So I've always loved playing with that Pikachu. It's actually a level 100 Pikachu, so it's a very strong Pikachu. But it's always been a fun Pikachu to play with because it knows the same exact move pool as the real Pikachu in the anime. And no matter what we say about Ash, even though I grew up watching Ash and Pikachu, even though he looks he looks skinnier now than he did back in his first episode, I think. But ever since the first episode of Pokemon, when we got introduced to Pikachu, I've always been in love with Pikachu for many different reasons, and it reminds me of my good days of my good childhood days, many times. So guys, that's my number 9, Pikachu. Pika Pika. Number 8, guys, is Tyranitar. Haha. Now, you guys may be saying, Tyranitar? Really? You like Tyranitar? Well, yes. Coming from a guy whose favorite, I guess you could say, game was actually Heart Gold, Heart Silver, the original Gold, the original Silver, and Crystal, I loved Tyranitar. He goes in a category which I call the tank category. Now, you may ask yourself, what does the tank category mean for me? The tank category is simply this. It's a Pokemon that has high defense, and I can train to have high special defense. So it's a tank. It can last a long time in a battle against multiple matchups, as long as it's not going against like a ground type going against a water type, if you understand what I'm saying. And Tyranitar has fell in that category because also a tank classification means high defense, high special defense, and has a great set of move pools. Strong moves like Earthquake, Earth Power, strong rock type moves like Rock Slide, etc. And it also can learn Hyper Beam and any type of other strong moves like Dark Pulse, because Tyranitar I think now is a dark ground type. But Tyranitar has always been there for me, even back when I was playing the Johto games, Gold and Silver, and when they got remade in Heart Gold and Heart Silver. I always played Tyranitar. He was in my Pokemon party as soon as I could catch a Larvitar. Then when, lately actually, in Pokemon Black and Pokemon Black 2, I was able to get an egg of a Pupitar, a Larvitar, very early in the game, and I trained that Larvitar into a Pupitar and then a Tyranitar, and I took it all the way to the championship game, the champion in the game, because it was just such a good Pokemon. It was a tank for me, and it's one of my favorite Pokemon because it knows Hyper Beam, which is one of my favorite moves. It knows Earthquake, which is another one of my favorite moves, and it just looks cool to me, and it brings back good memories and good matches because Tyranitar always put up a good, strong defense for me. Same thing, I guess, can be said, guys, for my next Pokemon on my list. My number 7, guys. It is, excuse me, guys, my number 7, which is Aggron. Yes, Aggron. Aggron, excuse me, I'm probably saying that weird. Aggron. Yes, Aggron is my number 7, guys. Aggron is number 7 for multiple reasons. It also goes in the classification of me as a tank Pokemon. High defense, can train to have high special defense, and can also know good strong moves like Earthquake, or in Aggron's case, Iron Tail, Iron Head, Flash Cannon, Earthquake, just these good strong moves. And the Pokemon can last long in a battle because it has high defense, depending upon the type matchup. But still, same thing happened with me. When he was my tank Pokemon, he was my defensive Pokemon when I was playing Ruby and Sapphire way, way, way back in the day, and Emerald. He was my tank. He was the guy that I sent out there if I didn't have a good matchup. I sent him out there to use strong moves, and he always knew different moves like Hyper Beam at sometimes, Earthquake, Rock Throw, just all these different type of moves he could use, and he could stay alive for a long period of time because he had high defense and high HP for the most part. And Aggron's always been there for me. And same thing like Tyranitar. When I played Pokemon Black 2, I got an egg of an Aron, excuse me, and I evolved it all the way up to an Aggron. And I played with that, and I still have it in my Pokemon Black 2 game. But I trained it, and it was just so good training this strong Pokemon again, and teaching it a whole bunch of new moves that I haven't used since Ruby and Sapphire. But he's always had a special place in my heart, and plus one of my favorite guy champions actually uses him, which is Steven, I think, because he's a Steel type champion, and he had an Aggron, and ever since I saw the episode when he actually used Aggron and it used Hyper Beam, I fell in love with Aggron. So that's why, guys. Number 6, Mewtwo. Now, Mewtwo, now we're going to get into the good stuff, guys. My number 6 is number 6 for a strong reason. Mewtwo. How much nostalgia is with Mewtwo? How much do I love Mewtwo? I love Mewtwo so much, and I just love playing with him in X and Y. The main reason why I've always loved Mewtwo is, number one, Mewtwo is in 2 of my favorite Pokemon movies of all time. The first Pokemon movie, which I will admit, as many other people may not, I actually cried watching the first Pokemon movie when I was little. When Ash got turned to stone and the Pokemon started crying. I cried too. So much so that I went to see the movie a grand total of 6 times. And some days, I watched the movie last weekend and I actually started tearing up in my eyes. Because I was like, I remember this. I remember watching this movie when I was little. And another movie which Mewtwo was in that some of you guys may or may not know was actually Mewtwo Returns. And Mewtwo Returns was pretty much talking about what happened to Mewtwo and Giovanni after the first movie took place. And it happened it took place in Johto. And I just loved it. It was really cool seeing Giovanni, going against Mewtwo and to see whose will is stronger. But Mewtwo, I've always loved Mewtwo for that reason. And in the original Pokemon games like Red and Blue, you have to remember, when you caught Mewtwo, you could just wreck any opponent. I literally used Mewtwo going against the Elite Four, and that was the only Pokemon I really needed. Because when you caught Mewtwo, originally, when Mewtwo first came out, with the first 150 Pokemon, or 151, Mewtwo was the god. You got Mewtwo, and nobody could beat you unless you were doing a Link battle. But Mewtwo was back when Psychics were the cream of the crop, way, way, way back in the day. Mewtwo was the epitome of all that. And I've just loved Mewtwo ever since then. And he's always been one of my favorite Pokemon. I guess you could say he's my favorite legendary Pokemon as well. Next to Lugia, I would say. But Lugia is probably my second favorite legendary Pokemon. Mewtwo is my number 1 for the movies he was in and everything. And one of the main reasons why Mewtwo is one of my favorite Pokemon is because of the voice actor that played in the original Pokemon, the first movie, and Mewtwo Returns. I love the way he characterized Mewtwo, the way he talked. Mewtwo using telepathically. I just loved his voice. It was amazing. That deep voice he would use for Mewtwo. And every time I play with Mewtwo, I just have that voice ingrained in my memory of that, Mewtwo voice. If you know what I'm talking about from watching the first Pokemon movie, you know what I'm talking about. that voice is one of the reasons why I've always loved Mewtwo also. So guys, I hope you enjoyed seeing all those Pokemon that I like so far. And part 2 will be up tomorrow, guys, of showing my number 1 favorite Pokemon of all time and some other Pokemon that I love and I love playing with and just love because they look cool. And I look forward to seeing, guys, are there any Pokemon that I mentioned that you like? And tell me, guys, down below, what are some Pokemon that you like that are in your top 10 favorite Pokemon? And until tomorrow, guys, take care and have fun, guys, and enjoy playing Pokemon. Adios, guys.